Hello everyone, this is Alice at Welldoing, and today I'm talking with Jennifer Cox, who is a psychotherapist in London, and she has just launched the platform Women Are Mad. So Jennifer, could you tell us about the platform and why you set it up?
Hello, everybody. Okay, so Women Are Mad is basically concerned with the anger that seems rife among women in my practice, women I know, family, friends, the works. And I've sort of noticed for a number of years, I think maybe the pandemic kind of heightened it, but that underneath many symptoms that women present with is actually a kind of bubbling cauldron of rage. And what seems to be the issue for them is expressing it and sort of finding a vocabulary for it that seems to fit with the volume of that emotion. And I think there's a kind of issue in that women tend to give up in expressing it, and sort of they end up ultimately continuing to repress it, so that these sort of layers of repression across time just end up being represented as various symptoms. And that's obviously what I see in my practice. But as I say, it's also what I've really kind of noticed talking to women I'm close to. So I think there's a definite atmosphere of this being a sort of, epidemic.
I feel like there's probably two parts to this, or multiple parts, but one is so what are women angry about? And what happens when they're angry, and how their anger expression is received by other people. So what are women angry about from your experience in therapy?
So in terms of my practice, what I definitely noticed was some kind of set themes developing, which I guess seem to circulate around home. That is, set roles that they've been cast in terms of the family they grew up in terms of what was expected of them as wives, mothers, partners, all the rest. Juggling those roles and those expectations with, often really big careers and very sort of demanding careers. So they'd have to sort of figure out psychically how to place themselves and what to sacrifice. And mostly it was themselves, to be honest, and their health, particularly their mental health. So they'd come in feeling incredibly anxious, or suffering with insomnia or migraine or crippling panic attacks, not knowing why. And actually you sort of start to ask a few questions and you realize pretty quickly they're absolutely furious, and it's not clear to them that this has happened. It sort of builds, I suppose, a bit stealthily. And also because I think in society there's this definite sense that what are you complaining about? You've got everything you wanted. Get on with it. And I think we put that pressure on ourselves as well and think, well, yes, I've got everything I wanted. What's the issue? But it's actually that I think we crap under that pressure, and not being able to articulate the thing that we're feeling pressurized about increases the sense of pressure, increases that sense of anger about it.
And perhaps also having we might disown anger in the first place. So even beyond you're getting to the point of how do I express it, it's just a kind of
it's completely repressed. Yeah, I agree. So yes, the feelings are there, but they're not identified. And in fact, they're called a lot of different things. So women go along to the GP and they say, I feel awful. I feel like, often they'll say, I'm raging at everybody, or I keep snapping at people. And, I just feel so hopeless and helpless. And then they get antidepressants.
It's so complicated.
Mm.
And what impact does it have if women are in a position where they don't feel that they're able to express their anger?
I think what happens is that it gets very impacted. I think when you say that it's not even recognized, that's kind of where the first signs of trouble start to set in, because mm, if we can't know it in ourselves, and if we're so far away from being able to identify that feeling as rage or frustration or anger, then we're sort of a bit stymied in terms of being able to do any kind of expression of it. So I think it's almost so basic. It's that we never hear ourselves say from a tiny age, I'm angry.
Mm.
It's just incredibly rare. There's lots of I'm sad, or I'm hurt, or I feel guilty. There's a hell of a lot of that. And again, from very young ages, and you'll see it played out in playgrounds, and families, and oh, that wasn't very nice. Oh, sorry, sorry, and please forgive me, rather than why why should I, give you back that toy that I wanted and is actually mine? It's There's such a sort of fracture in terms of what we're feeling and what we're told we should feel in order to be good girls, that I think we're, as I say, already getting so far away from being able to kind of call it what it is.
Mm, mm. Yeah, because I mean, anger is a very social emotion, isn't it? Maybe more so than some of the others. And so there's this very heavy weight with social power,
Mm.
social dominance, or the risk of taking that
Mm.
expression forward. And I guess what you're saying is it's something that starts very young, this blueprint where girls are raised to be more pro-social, maybe.
I think that's right. And I think because it is a very powerful emotion, it's sort of generally kind of higher status people that are allowed to wield it. So, who are the higher status people still in society? It's the men and it's the boys when, kids are growing up. And this is where we're sort of taught this and where our behaviors end up acting into those structures.
Mm, mm, absolutely. And so where does this anger go then if we can't express it outwards?
I think sadly it just goes inwards and it gets expressed in all sorts of somatic symptoms. So a lot of stomach problems I've noticed, eczema, definitely in terms of things like eating disorders. Talking to women who, as teenagers, struggled with their eating and with their relationship to food, it was very often feeling kind of so entrapped by families and expectation and academic expectation. And, perversely, it comes out as this sort of further need to control, but in a way, it's a response to this control being placed on them that feels so stifling that there's only sort of one way to kind of handle that crushing grip.
So what can people do? What can women do? What can anyone do for that matter? But we are on the subject of women in anger, to better manage their angry feelings.
I think we need to find ways of being able to bring it into our ordinary, just everyday conversation from young. I would love it if I know in schools now, in primary schools especially, there's a real kind of drive for being able to talk freely about feeling. I think when they go in the mornings, there's a sort of encouragement a lot of the time to sort of give a little, number or color in terms of where I'm at today and this is why. And that's great. But I think there's a huge section of society that hasn't had that privilege and hasn't had that sort of assistance with being able to verbalize these really quite basic feelings. And I think anger is one that has been really demonized and it's seen in such a negative way. But I think if we can get talking about it, then we can better find solutions for using it as a kind of motivating, forward driving force that actually gets us kind of, you know, but using using the kind of tools of it to our advantage and using the energy of it to kind of make change.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jennifer. We'll keep tuned.
Thank you.